Hello, this is Political Common Sense for America, and I'm Brian Boeheim, the political engineer. And in this particular video, I want to talk about something that's bothering me a great deal. And that is that our political leaders have brought racism back into the everyday conversation. I was raised in the 60s and 70s. I remember what it was like at that transitional period when we were thought of, everybody was thought of based on their ethnic background. You were Polish, you were German, you were Italian, you were black, you were Asian, you were Chinese. It was defined, people were defined by their ethnic heritage, and not in a good way. I understand the fact that although we emancipated the slaves, the black community was not given their constitutional rights. And I also understand that great leaders came about in the 60s and 70s that broke through that, and some of them lost their lives in that fight. But through the 60s and 70s, that transition happened, and into the 80s and 90s, the walls came down in terms of those identifiers. And into the 90s and into the new century, we had given up as a culture. The majority of the population had given up as a culture identifying people by their race. Now, don't get me wrong, there's racists and there's bigots. There always has been and there always will be in some vein. But the reality is the majority of the people had given it up. So why now are our political leaders consistently insisting on driving down this path? And driving down this path of bringing racism back into the everyday conversation in America. They started by asking the black community to elect a black president. They've carried it forth again, inciting the Latino and Hispanic communities, suggesting that they are somehow being taken advantage of and they're going to have a racial bias against them because of our moves to deal with the economic problem of illegal immigration. We need to tell our politicians and our elected officials to stop. Our issues are economic. Our issues are about jobs. Our issues are about not having enough money to pay for the services that we need to for the citizens of this country. It is not about race. So when you go to the polls in the fall, when you go to the primaries, vote for politicians who understand and refuse to make race the issue.